Hi, my name is JC Glick, and I'm a partner with Padromos Leadership Consulting. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm humbled and honored to be included in a distinguished line of speakers for the National Veteran Memorial Museum event and their monthly rally points in the Vet Expo. This is truly an honor and one that I take very seriously, in that veteran transition is not only something that I've gone through, but something that I see as important to our nation's success as we continue to move forward as a nation and integrate a host of amazing Americans who have served their country in both war and peace, and now are looking to serve a nation that is in need of leadership, hard work, dedication, and commitment, things that I know the veteran community has in spades. In 2015, I transitioned after 20 years of service. I was lucky enough to serve in the Ranger Regiment, the Asymmetric Warfare Group, and a host of other organizations. And I'm proud of my service. But I'm also proud of the lessons that I've learned in transition. And when I look back, over the last 5 years, and I think about my journey, it was really set up exactly the way everyone recommends it be set up, right? I was looking at organizations to work with 2 years out, starting to write my first book. And quite honestly, the immediate transition was pretty good. But when people talk about transitions, that's usually the one they talk about. They talk about the one where you take off the uniform and you put on civilian clothes. And I kind of think that's the second transition. So let me explain what I mean a little bit. I think our first transition, especially for combat veterans, is when you stop deploying. Some people, that's exactly the same time as they get out. And for some people, maybe they were, deploying, and then they went to a position that didn't deploy. 18 months after that first transition of non-deploying, that was kind of my first transition, and that, quite honestly, for me, was the hardest one. I really struggled with purpose. I struggled with meaning, and it kind of helped me decide to make the second transition, which was out of uniform and into civilian clothes. That transition, like I set it up pretty well, and initially, I'd say everything was great. I went in as a partner of a company, a large firm that did leadership and culture consulting. First book was published. I mean, things went well, and financially, I didn't have any problems. It was a good transition. It was a smart move, and I got to do some really cool stuff. But then that third transition happens, and the third transition is really where you learn all your lessons. You realize that no matter how well you were set up for success, no matter how well you set yourself up for success, there were lessons that needed to be learned. And they needed to be learned by experiencing them. They needed to be learned the same way you learned in the military, right? You learn through adversity. You learn through privation. You learn through hardship. And so I've done a whole bunch of things over the last 5 years, right? So I've been able to do leadership consulting with the NFL, the NBA, Division I sports, as well as Xbox and Microsoft. I've been able to write 2 books. I'm working on my third. I've been able to get involved in the nonprofit world and see what that was like. So I've had a bunch of experiences, and that's less about, hey, look what look what I've done. That's more about the last 5 years has had a lot of changes for me. Everything from my family life to my work life. I'm doing things in a way that I never anticipated when I first transitioned. So I'd like you to as you think about this transition ahead for you, I'd like you to think about what you're picturing and what it might become will be very, very different. And I think that's okay. But I did want to pass on a couple of lessons that I've learned. And I'd like to say I learned them the easy way, but I didn't. I learned them the hard way. But I think that they're really, really important as you begin to make your transition to be a veteran. Carl talked about the 5 functional fitness areas. And I think that what you'll find is a lot of what I'm going to tell you about kind of fit nicely into that. And I'm really going to give you 4 recommendations that I think will be helpful as you transition. The first might seem really simple, but it's really not. You need to find a civilian mentor. All right. It is great that we have former military who are mentors, right? I'm very proud that I get to work with the Three Rangers Foundation. I get to work with merging vets and players. I get to work with veterans as they transition and assist them. That said, I also have my own experiences from the military, and I still am learning this new environment that is this civilian sector. And I think that what I've found extremely helpful is having somebody who has been successful in the civilian sector and only been in the civilian sector, because the language that they use, the norms, the folkways and mores that are second nature to them, well, they'll be able to impart to you, because it is a different world. The people think differently, not better, not worse, just differently. Their perceptions are different. Just like, if you ask somebody from an inner city what respect is and how you get it and maintain it, and you ask somebody from rural, farm country, there's probably a different way that you get and earn respect in those 2 locations. That doesn't mean either one's wrong or right. It just means they're different. And being able to understand that world and have an appreciation for the goodness of that world, and somebody who can help you kind of understand what you bring to that world. As a veteran, I can tell you, boy, every veteran out there could be successful in the civilian sector. There's no question in my mind. The capacity that most military people have to solve complex problems in complex environments is unbound. That's hard to explain to civilians. For example, I have a very close friend who basically said, yeah, but in the military, all you guys do is, go kill people. And I said, no, I solve complex problems in complex environments. Oh, and this is somebody who's close to me. Most people don't understand, not because they're dumb, just because they don't understand, because they've never been a part of it. Just like you don't understand 100% their world, and don't pretend to. So having a civilian mentor will help make that transition a little bit easier. It won't eliminate it completely, but it's certainly a huge help. So the second one is, and this one will sound surprising, find a mentor who's younger than you are. One of the things that I realized, and again, it took me years to realize it, in the military, there was always somebody coming in who was younger than me, right? Whatever level I was at, somebody younger was coming in. And whatever level I reached, I had younger people around me all the time. Not only did they push me physically and kept me in good shape, but they pushed me mentally. They forced me to innovate. They forced me to look at things differently. They forced me to be able to explain things in a better way because I had to. When we get out of the force, we can lose touch. We can lose touch with what's important, what's going on, what are the nuances of today. And you kind of start to miss that ability to innovate and see things, whether that's TikTok, which may or may not have practical use, or the way they look at text messages, or the way they look at AI, or the way they look at VR. Those are important things. And staying in tune with that is really something that I think you have to be able to capitalize on. And I don't think a lot of civilians do this, but I think it's something because we've been so used to having to adapt to a younger generation. I think it's really good for us if we find those people who are younger and we have them as mentors. And look, mentoring can go both ways, right? A lot of the people that mentor me, I mentor as well. And I think of them as thought partners. But I think that making sure that there's somebody in your circle, in your community that you look to, that you trust, and doesn't see things your way, sees it their way, and is willing to impart that to you. Really, really important. All right, the third one. You got to find your tribe. I don't care if you're an introvert. I don't care if all you want to do is go into the woods and get in your log cabin and not interact with anybody. At some point, after you have transitioned that second time out from uniform to civilian clothes, you're going to want to connect. We spent our careers connecting with others. And I truly believe that we miss it. I'm not a joiner. In fact, as General Ferreter will tell you, I sometimes was very difficult to lead because I wasn't a joiner. But I think as I've gained time and space from the service, I realized I was missing something. And I needed a community. Now, you get to choose your community now, which is a little bit different, right? We didn't choose our community. We came into the 82nd Airborne Division. We were in our unit. That was our circle. We trusted everybody. Everybody trusted us. That's how it worked. You went to the Rangers, whatever your road was. Well, now the good news is you do get to choose your people. The bad news is you got to find them, and that can be a difficult task. There are great organizations that I believe in. Merging Vets and Players is a terrific organization. The Gallant Few is a terrific organization. The Three Rangers Foundation. I mean, there's tons of good organizations out there. But I encourage you to kind of find your group. My group has some military, some civilian, some professional athletes. And it's not as big as it was, right? It's a small circle. But I had to find them. And I'm a better partner. I'm a better father. And I'm a better person because I have these people in my life again. And they help me balance. And I think that's really important. They're kind of the folks that inspired you when you served. You still need that inspiration. I mean, as self-driven as you may be, everyone needs a little inspiration. So the fourth and last thing that I can tell you, I think this is something that most veterans get wrong. I don't know, but I would tell you that data will support me on this. You have to stay physically fit. You absolutely have to stay physically fit. And I'm not saying you have to get up at 6 a.m. every morning and go, do a 5-mile run and a 12-mile ruck march and, the obstacle course. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm saying that you absolutely have to stay fit. right? Going for walks, a run, go to the gym, whatever your thing is, you got to exercise. And I know that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't even want to do that anymore. Look, it was part of your life for however long you were in the military. It was an integral part of your life. And now, in the last 5 years, we've learned more about the human brain and its connection to activity, physical activity, right? Socrates talked about it thousands of years ago. He argued, if you're sick, you can't think straight. If you're not feeling well, you can't think well. And his point was, to think well, to have your mind in balance, you have to be fit. Well, guess what? Science has proven that today. Nobody's saying you got to be a triathlete. But we know that there's benefits for those suffering from post-traumatic stress, from those suffering from depression, from those suffering from anxiety, for those people who just want to continue to grow and evolve their empathy, their compassion, their decision-making ability, and their ability to regulate emotion. Even if you don't have an imbalance, we know that you do that better if your body's working. So it was important for what you did to be physically fit in the military. You were the human weapon system of the United States of America. But now you get to be this human system for the United States of America, a human system that moves well and thinks well, with an experience that is unmatched by 99% of the population. Don't throw that away by losing that balance that we know we need in the brain and letting yourself go. All right? And it's easy. And I've seen it happen too many times, anecdotally. And the stats from the VA and from retirees prove it out. We are not staying physically fit, and we need to. So look, those are 4 things that may help. They've helped me, and they've been hard lessons to learn. And I don't know that I've got it right. I think that this is a journey that we're all taking, and together, just like we accomplished all the missions that we did when we were in, we did that together. As we move forward in the civilian world as former warriors at heart, but no longer in the profession of arms, we'll accomplish this together too. And we'll figure this out together, and we'll do it together. It takes the same mentality that made us successful in the military. We had loyalty, humility, empathy, and curiosity. Those 4 things, I don't care if you were a private or a general, you had those 4 qualities to be successful. You had to. You still got those, and those will continue to make us successful. You will be successful. There's no question in my mind. We'll just all do it together. If you need anything, you can always reach out to me. I want to be there for the veteran community, and I want you to be there for me. I look forward to meeting you all in time. Enjoy your transition. Good luck. If there's anything I can do for you, please reach out. Don't hesitate to. There'll be a way to contact me. I look forward to hearing about your journey. Thank you.